In this video, I'm going to be reviewing The Flash 106, how The Flash is born. This is a rewatch review, so if you haven't seen the episode or rewatched it yet, you want to refresh your memory before watching this review, go watch the episode, and then come back and watch this review. And hit the like button down below, subscribe for new, notifications on, and share it, because it will help the video out a lot. And let's get right into the review. So, this episode was really, really good. Definitely better than the last 5. I keep saying that like every episode. It's better than the last one, besides 102 and 103, but I mean, this episode really was good. I mean, we had flashbacks to, like, with young Barry, which is kind of sentimental to see Logan Williams again, if you didn't know that actor had passed away a couple years ago. And, we saw young Iris and, Joe teaching Barry how to deal with the fight. And how it's okay to run away from things, which is kind of ironic, given who we're dealing with here. And it was kind of just a moral of the entire episode of Barry needing to run away from problems to then be able to stop them later on. And that was something that I think Barry, was so kind of blindsided by because of Iris being taken by Tony, who was a bully at Barry and Iris' school when they were kids. Tony turned into a metahuman and, tried to go after the Flash. And Barry broke his wrists, I think, twice or once in the beginning of the episode. And then he did a supersonic punch for the first time, which is really cool. And, Barry and Iris had little interaction this episode. Because obviously, after what happened last week, they weren't really... Or last episode, I mean. Not last week. Well, yeah, last week if you're rewatching it as I'm rewatching it. But my point being... Barry has pretty much pushed Iris away to the end of the episode. And, it clearly makes sense as to why. And I think it's kind of, knowing the Iris that we have now, like, looking back, it's like, yeah, she hasn't changed that much. Because, like Barry and Joe both warned her about getting involved. She ignored both of them. Got kidnapped, nearly could have died in that situation. And then Barry shows up and Iris just brushes it off. Like, I get it, she's a reporter and, we see Lois, in every iteration of Lois or Kara. Granted, Kara's Supergirl, so, she has an excuse there. But, like, Lois, she admits when she's wrong, she does admit that. And when we look at Iris, I'm not trying to hit on Iris, but maybe admit you're wrong sometimes. If you could tell that she was wrong. The exact same thing that Barry told Iris that he was hanging around her for happened. And then he went back to her and she didn't say really anything about the situation. It's just like, really? Why don't you, apologize to Barry for, once? That's an idea for you. But, that's just me comparing to Iris that we know now that really is kind of selfish in most cases with Barry. And, it's because of the writing, not really the character herself is an amazing character. But the writing always kind of seems to piggyback off of, let's make Iris, the most, irritating character on the show next to season 8, but that's season 8. This is season 1. And that's honestly where, I start, taking, if you haven't seen my video where I rank all seasons of The Flash, all 9 seasons, in that video I put season 1 on number, top 3. I think it was, a 9 out of 10. This is one of those reasons why it's a 9 out of 10, not a 10 out of 10. Because, Iris really does kind of get irritating this season. Rewatching it, I don't, watching it for the first time, I didn't feel that way. Maybe it's because we know the Iris that we know now, and it's just maybe I'm comparing the two too much. But it is and I'm just kind of paying attention to things a lot more now than I was then. Don't get me wrong, it was still a great episode, great scenes with Iris, but again, could have shown a little bit of sympathy to Barry there, where, he was pissed off the entire episode because of what happened with Iris and Tony. And then for Iris to just kind of blow it off and not really, to me it didn't sit well. I mean, it maybe sit well to some of you, but I don't know about friends not really, I don't know if that's really a friendship right there, but maybe for Iris it is, I don't know. But Barry then gives Iris the name of the Flash, which was teased 2 episodes ago, I think. When Barry called Joe and we found out, I think Snart was in town, right? Was when that was all going on. And, it was a very, very interesting, cool episode. That's where we got introduced to Girder, who, again, was Tony Woodward, Barry's childhood bully. And, Supersonic Punch, Barry kind of leveling up in his own little way this episode. And having to go Mach 1.1, which, I mean, watching back, like, it does kind of get ridiculous with Barry being like, how fast I need to go. And they're like 1.1, which is 0.1 more than he was before. 100 miles more. And Barry's just like, done. Like, I'm sorry, but, you had super speed. Then again, this is the same guy that didn't throw punches at super speed, finding a guy that he knows is a metahuman. It's just like, season 1 is great. It's amazing. But compared to what it could have been, it kind of dips. And when you start thinking like that, it is really hard to look past that and to be able to say, like, Barry's just new at it, which could be the excuse, but then, like, season 7 happens, or season 4 or 5 or 2 or 3 or 5 or 9. Every season but 8 happens, and Barry has the ability to stop someone, but they don't. And season 1, you can use the excuse of Barry's just, starting out as a Flash, doesn't know what he can fully do yet. But again, I would assume that, give it like 2 episodes ago, he was using his speed to fight people, and now he just does it at normal speed, But it was a fun episode. I know I'm like nitpicking on the bad stuff right now for like 5 minutes, and that's not my point here. But like, getting the positive stuff, Eddie and Barry had a really good relationship this episode. Eddie said that, he's jealous of Barry when he first met and first started dating Iris, and that was a really interesting dynamic between them two. And they had a really funny scene in Barry's lab in CCPD where Eddie needed to blow off some steam, and Barry ended up just like Rocky just hit the bag, and sand just broke out because he hit it so hard. And it was a really cool dynamic scene between them two, which we don't get much of, even in season 9 when Eddie does come back. We don't get much of them, and it kind of does suck because I think Barry and Eddie's relationship really was. It could have been a great friendship, but they killed him off, and I know it tied back into the last season and the final arc and all that. It's just like things could have been played out, I think, a little bit better with Barry and Eddie. And, you gotta be, I guess, respectful of that. But, Joe had not that many scenes this episode, I think. I think his main big scene was when Iris got taken and he was in CCPD trying to help find Iris. And then, Streak spoke to Iris in the beginning of the episode, telling her to stop writing. She didn't listen, and we all saw what happened there. And, again, Barry broke his wrist. There was a fight with Caitlin and Star Labs and all that. It was a really entertaining scene. And then Cisco making Girder like a, robot Girder, so Barry could learn how to fight, which, I wouldn't think he would need to, but, I guess he did. And that's really what happened in the episode. I mean, it was probably like a 9 out of 10, honestly, episode. I know, again, I was nitpicking on the negative stuff of the episode, but I mean, when you look back at these episodes, and I brought this up last week and probably the week before too, there's going to be a lot of nitpicks. I mean, I've watched a show several times over, and I haven't watched season 1 in a while, but compared to what season 8 was and season 2 through 4 were for me, or not 2 through 4, 2 and 4 were, and season 6 was, it's just like, you know, it's like giving off like season 7 writing, which like shouldn't really be a thing, but like for its time, the season is amazing, right? And if you're rewatching, you kind of need to zone in on that, because if you focus like compared to season 7, like season 1 is not better than season 7. I'm not saying that, but the writing scales really do just like push Barry to be more weak than he actually could be, and over dramatizing some things that really didn't need to be over dramatized at all. And you know, going into Joe real like for a quick minute because I forgot about this. He did question Wells about Barry's mother's death and where was he, and then at the episode, Joe, you know, mentioned that he knows that Wells didn't kill his mother, and it's a really weird, cool scene, knowing that we know that's Thawne, and that he did kill Barry's mother, right? And it's really weird looking back, because it's like, you know, this really was an amazing villain. I mean, Tom Cavanaugh is an amazing actor. Like, he's playing a guy that's pretending to be someone else that actually murdered someone. He's actually mentoring his mother. Like, there's so much background right here that Thawne carries with him that Tom has to act out. And it's really cool to watch. It's like, they deserve so much better in, you know, past like season 4. Like season 5 through 9, you know, Tom, Grant, Jesse, Carlos, Danielle, they all deserve so much better on the show. Candace did too, but I mean, Candace's stories kind of got boring after season 3, to be honest. They kind of ran out of ideas for her, and then We Are the Flash. We don't know what happened there, but the point is that, you know, the dynamic between Joe and Wells is really cool, or Thawne Wells is really cool. Wells of Bard, whatever. It's really cool to see. Again, and just to know everything that we know now, it is, I think, a lot more cooler to look back on. And then at the end, very end episode, Reverse Flash gave a visit to Joe and told him to stop looking into Barry's mother's death and all that. And, you know, honestly, knowing that is Wells there is, you know, kind of entertaining to look back on. And like I said, with Joe and Wells' relationship with Thawne, it's, you know, the way that Thawne reacted in that scene when he took the glasses off and kind of just closed his eyes, like he needs to figure out what he needs to say to get Joe off his back. It was a really cool little tidbit scene that, you know, when we first watched it years ago, it probably didn't dawn as like, oh yeah. But like now it's like, we know how, like, you know, of an amazing villain Thawne is. And to kind of watch it back and see where Thawne ended up at and where he started at is really cool. But, you know, it is a really cool sequence that they have going on here. So again, 9 out of 10 episode. I think it's definitely better than the last 6 for me. And yeah, I think that's the next video. Have a good day. Have a good night. Stay safe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.